Hey everybody, Ian here before we get into today's episode to wish you all a Merry Terascmas. Terascmas was this past Monday, September 9th, and despite James's insistence that Terascmas is for Cheetos and Mountain Dew, the traditional Terascmas dish is cake. So I hope you all happen to get yourself a piece of cake on Monday, and if you didn't, you can go ahead and get yourself a piece of cake now. I won't tell anybody. We're about to get into part 2 of our anniversary game with Rob Hilferty and Michael Ross. If you haven't listened to part 1, I strongly recommend you do that. Go back to last week's episode and listen to it first. That's where we're creating our characters. That's where we're building the world. That's where we're determining the details of the movie that we're going to be making in today's episode. And you're probably going to be a bit lost if you jump straight into this without having listened to that first. Again, this is our anniversary episode, so I would like to take a moment before we get into the episode to thank each and every one of you for sticking with us and listening to us for the past 4 years. It's been great. It's been a wild ride. I love to see that people are actually listening. It gives me that little bit of oomph to actually get the next episode out whenever I know that people are listening and I'm not just shouting into the void. But yes, thank you. I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next week. Hello, and welcome back to our Undercommon Taste anniversary episode. I'm Ian Woodworth. I'm with my co-host James Daly, and we are joined by special guests Michael Ross from the RPG Academy and Rob Hilferty from Worldbuild With Us, and we are here to play the second half of our Action 12 cinema game.
Yes, welcome back to both of you.
Woohoo! I'm excited to be here, my friends.
Oh, absolutely. I am ready to fight some vampires and be an aging actor, for sure.
Yes.
All right, real quick before we get started, Michael, do you want to give us a quick once-over refresher of what the game is for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So, quick timeout. Did we ever decide last time, are we all part of the same gang, or are we all different members of different gangs who will then be against the vampires when they make their move?
I don't believe we decided. I know I am with, if we're all with the same gang, I know I'm either with the gang as a group or with one of the gangs just because they owe me a favor, so they're kind of running like protection cover for me. But that was as far as we got as a group, yeah. I think.
And we can be different. We don't have to be the same. I know Jack and I, my character and Jack's character, or your BFF, so it makes sense that we are part of the same gang, but the rest do not.
I think it would be interesting if James's character and my character are part of one gang and the two of you are part of another gang and we just happen to have to pair up.
Okay, that works, yeah.
So we need a name for the two gangs that we are a part of.
I was going to say, normally I would agree with you there, Ian, but for me, I think the hilarity of all of the reptile names or amphibian names, like the connecting tissue there and me being an odd one out, like I think that's really funny. So this is the rare time where I will advocate for same gang.
Yeah, here. That's fine.
We can run with that, yeah.
So do we need a name, or we can come up with it in the moment, but does anyone have an idea for what our gang and maybe like what our colors or our patch would be?
Holding to the reptile theme, the basilisks.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I want to do something like real basic, like the street vipers or something like that.
Yeah, just the vipers would work. But that's a little close to the vampires too, so we do want something that sounds different. But I think we do want to keep with the reptile theme also.
Mm-hmm. Wait. It's even funnier because none of us are actually named after snakes except for James.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Wait, maybe that's the play. Maybe we go with like, name us after a reptile gang, but none of us have names that are actually based around that reptile.
We could go full Fallout 3 and we could be the Tunnel Snakes.
I was thinking, okay.
Tunnel Snakes rule!
Yeah! Admittedly, that is where my brain initially went to, but I'm like, that's taken. We can't do Tunnel Snakes. We could do real simple and just do Street Snakes or something like that, but that's kind of lame. I don't like that.
Iguanas.
The orange iguanas, and we're on our way to Olmec's temple. Is that what's going on?
There we go. The orange iguanas.
We could ironically be the lot lizards.
Yes.
No.
I like it. I'm good with any of these.
The geckos.
Can we be frogs then?
Yeah, that would be great. We have all these reptilian names, and
Yeah,
we just
exactly.
pick an amphibian.
The
Yeah.
toads.
The toads. All right. Well, I mean, we will kind of just leave that ambiguous. We've got lots of good options, but eventually one of us will have to make the decision and go with it.
Okay.
So back into, so Action 12 Cinema is a zero prep GM-less game that basically filters an action movie story through a loose 3-act structure where we're going to roll a bunch of D12s and a bunch of silliness will ensue. So we're talking B-level, maybe even C, D-level action movies. These aren't the good ones. These are the bad ones, but hopefully the fun ones. And then to kind of just get into the game, it starts with what we call the cold opening scene. So each of us will get a chance to describe basically our characters. So if you think about you're sitting down to watch a movie, at the beginning, as the credits are rolling, you might get sort of a day in the life style scene where we learn about our characters and how we kind of get introduced into the story. So there's no rolling involved. This is just pure narration, not really role playing, though we can do that. It's usually more just like the first moments we might see our characters. So it could be like a domestic scene where we get up, we go for a jog, we fix ourselves breakfast, and then we get in our car as we're heading to the office when stuff happens. Or it could be in the middle of like a really cool action scene that's separate, like we're taking out a bunch of ninja that have nothing to do with the movie, but we all get to see our cool characters doing cool things. It can be really whatever you want. But each of us should go and do that short scene. And basically at the end of it, we need to tie into where we know we're going. So it could be one of us going and getting all the rest of us. It could be each of us moving independently towards the half-fallen Empire State Building. It can kind of be whatever you want. But does anybody want to go first? Because this also, we're going to start the official world building. Whoever goes first, whatever you start saying becomes the truth.
1, 2, 3, not it.
I will nominate Ian because his character is the main character as per producer's instructions.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm picturing this as, because his wife is the producer's daughter, his wife comes up to him and says, "Hey, do you want to be in Dad's movie?" And he says, "Sure, I'll be in his movie," thinking he's just going to get an extra part or maybe, get his 2 lines so he can get his SAG card. And then he shows up to set and finds out that he's been cast as the lead. So Gator Dupree looks like he had to pick through what was left in the prop trailer. He's wearing a long sleeve denim work shirt, but he's got a black leather like biker vest over top of it. And he's got an eye patch and a pair of mirrored lens aviator sunglasses. But the lens that would be over the eye patch is missing, so you get a full view of the eye patch. And because this is the 80s, he does actually have a mullet.
Nice.
He has the tactical mullet because that is important in this scene. He has not shaved for the last 3 or 4 days, so he has a healthy crop of stubble on his face. Just enough for that 80s action hero look. And I think that, with your permission, Rob, I think that this opening scene is going to be, he is walking down this sort of derelict street into a bar because he is going to collect Jack for the meetup for all of us getting together before we go to the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Because that seems like that would be where Jack would be.
Right. So then I think narratively makes sense just to follow along into Jack's introduction.
So the camera follows Gator Dupree down the alley with the camera following his back into a bar. The camera then cuts to Jack Falcon, a 50-something who can still play 20. But what it cuts to is not a bar scene, but it is his apartment where he is standing in nothing but a thong, looking at his naked paramour, Michelle Rodriguez. And she's very tastefully covered up, but he's putting on his leather jacket and he's putting on, he's getting dressed. He's ready. He's like, "My darling, today could be the last day that I see you alive. things might be going wrong, but a young man must do what he must do. And then with that, there's a knock on the door, and then Gator Dupree stands there silently. And it's like, yes, Gator, I am glad that you're here now. Let's go get the others. And then at that point, the camera pans to the bar where I'm going to say Chuck the Dragon is, you're doing some kind of fun bar tricks and you're showing off or something like that. Or even better, actually, there's going to be a circle and there's going to be like a really big, again, this is the 80s, so we're thinking like 6 foot something, completely bald, big goatee, like denim jacket with fingerless leather gloves. And you see the biggest, toughest guy. And then the camera pans to you, Chuck the Dragon.
Yeah, the camera basically does like a complete pan, but there's like nothing there. So then it has to then tilt down, and that is where you see me. I look basically straight like a 15-year-old kid, an actual 15-year-old kid. I'm probably not even legal to be on the set. I have a shaved head, but it's very clear I'm actually just wearing a skull cap. Like in all the times you can see the faint outline of the skull cap around, because I didn't actually want to shave my head. There's an insert shot where there's like this really muscular dude with a giant dragon tattoo on their back. And then we see like this sleeveless camo jacket come up, and then it's me. So I don't actually have that tattoo or that physique. But anytime that there's like martial arts going on, it'll be from like the neck down, because it's always a stunt man. I'm actually not trained on how to do this. But I do like a trick where the big dude puts a cigarette in his mouth, and I do like a spinning heel kick, and I kick the cigarette out of his mouth. But then it cuts to me, and I actually have those like ninja toe boots on, and I have the cigarette between my toes, where I have actually taken it out of his mouth, and then I use that and I put it into the lips of a bustily looking woman who's standing nearby, and give her the cigarette, which she draws from, and then I come back down and I get my pose. And I look over and go, "Up, Jack."
Yeah, that's perfect. Chuck, are you about to show this ruffian what for?
If he wants to taste the dragon, I'm ready to roar.
Oh man, that's so tremendously bad. I love everything about it.
Then we'll hear a beeping sound, and we'll pull up. I have a Swatch watch on because this is the 80s, and go, "May have to wait. I think we have somewhere to be. Hope our ride's here soon."
So at this point, Snake Eyes comes like into the bar area. I'm coming up, and I've got like the shirt with the button-up shirt, but the kind of like the vest thing. I couldn't look like the disheveled Mel Gibson from Maverick. That kind of like old, like down on his like card player, just kind of like disheveled. And I come in and I see Chuck, and I'm like, "Okay, we're here. We've got everyone together. We're ready to go all in."
All right. So basically, we've all got our characters. We're kind of introduced. So now we're ready to move into the official Act 1. So whoever wants to go first here, you're going to basically set the stage as much as you want, set decorations, camera moves, all the lingo that you want to use. But at some point during your description, the ambush will happen. And then you can narrate taking out 15 different vampires. You can narrate the building falling over, but at some point you have to roll your dice. And then that is when we're going to see how close we are getting to ending the act. And the end doesn't necessarily mean we have to win. Like our end could be we run away because we're about to get defeated. It doesn't have to be we always win, but the act is over when we've accumulated 12 success points through our dice pool. So again, does anybody want to take the reins here and introduce our first act obstacle?
So I think this shows us we're kind of like in one of those old, like, again, because it's kind of dystopian. So it's kind of like one of those beat down like vans that have been like armored. You've got like side paneling and stuff on the side. And we're pulling up to the giant building. It is the Vampire's Coven's Den, the Vampire Den. And we go through and it kind of pans out and you see like this old, it's the derelict, slightly leaning over Empire State Building. Like windows are bushed out. There's obviously like where floors have kind of collapsed and sagged in. Then we're going in and we walk through, and the lobby used to be really fancy, like top of the line of marble, but now like there's slabs missing and there's chunks and pillars broken down. And we're going through and we have like 10 other gang members with us from various gangs, because again, this is supposed to be like a prisoner exchange. We're exchanging some of the people that we've gotten in turf wars for some of ours. Maybe they've captured like one of our leaders. We're trying to get one of our leaders or one of our like older members back. And we're going through, and I'm looking around, and I look at Gator Dupree, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right, Gator. I don't have a good feeling about this.
And Gator doesn't actually say anything in response, but he does put a toothpick into his mouth and start working it around in a manner that indicates that he is thinking heavily about something.
So we sit there and we all kind of go through and we file like down this lobby. We get into one of those big penthouse elevators and it goes up and we get to the floor and like it's obviously like one of those real long ones where it's the old spindle and it's climbing up and it dings. We're at the top floor. The doors open. We step out. And as we step out, suddenly the doors close behind us. And out of this wall, this like giant, huge, burly guy busts through the wall and wraps up Chuck in this huge like bear hug from behind and starts trying to wrestle him down. And I think that'd be a point to where we'd roll the die to see how you'd react. Or
so since you're the first active player, it basically should involve your character. You can involve ours the way you did, but we need to figure out like how are you interacting or responding. And it can be as simple as like diving out of the way. Like it doesn't have to be about, but you can take it as far as you want. And then at some point you're going to roll your dice.
Okay. So yeah, with that, one guy busts out of the wall, wraps your character up. Another one comes out of a doorway and starts opening fire. And I'm going to kind of jump out of the way to make sure I don't like get shot or anything like that.
All right, that is perfect. So what you're going to decide, so you always start with 1d12.
Okay.
And then do you think you're jumping out of the way? Is that brains, brawn, charm, or is that moxie?
That'd be moxie for me.
All right, and that's for you is a +2, right?
Correct.
So you're now at 3 dice. Do you have a skill that you think is applicable to the action you're taking?
Let me double check. I don't think a skill on this one would be one of mine. Let me see here.
Okay. You obviously have the option to add a skill. If not, then, do you have a relationship that you would like to leverage?
I do have luck, just pure luck. So I guess that would fall under that skill as well. So yeah.
Yep. Is that a 1 or a 2?
That is a 2 for me.
Okay. So you're at 5 dice. So there's no need to worry about leveraging anything else. You're just going to go ahead and roll your 5 dice. And you need to note 1s. And then anything that's 8 or higher, and then 12s are extra special. So just kind of give me the total numbers that fall into those ranges, if you have any.
I've got everything is 6 to 10.
Okay, 8s, 9s, and 10s. How many of those do you have?
I have 3 10s and a 9.
So you have 4 successes.
Okay, great.
So basically, we were needed 12. We've got 4, so now we only need 8. So you're roughly 25% through this. So whatever actions you've taken have certainly helped us propel the scene. So now you kind of finish off your narration because it looks like you have been moderately successful. So whatever that looks like to you, give us a little bit. So think of it in most terms, you're going to do about 85% of your description, then roll, and then give us the last 15 based on the results of the roll being good, bad, or kind of negligible.
Okay. So like as I dive out of my way, I kind of like come up into this tuck and roll. And just because of luck, another vampire is coming swinging through the hallway as this ambush. And I kind of tangle up into his legs and trip him. And he face plants face first as I step up just out of pure like happenstance.
Perfect. I think narratively, it kind of makes sense for Chuck to go next because you described me being wrapped up. But I also love the idea that through everyone else's scenes, that's just happening. Just in the background of every scene, I'm just still being bear hugged and nothing is accomplished there. So I'm fine with going later if someone else wants to step up here and go.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and step up and go. So did you say this big burly guy just grabs Chuck in a bear hug?
Yep.
And what else happened?
So someone came out, started shooting, I believe, and Snake Eyes dove out of the way. So we've got gunfire, multiple vampires, but at the moment, Snake Eyes is out of the way below something, out of the way of the danger.
Yeah.
All right. So what Gator is going to do here, he's going to be stepping out of the elevator, and he's also going to do sort of a tuck and roll, and he's going to come up into a kneeling shooter stance, but he's still reaching for his gun. And he hasn't gotten it out yet. And instead, he's going to take the toothpick out of his mouth and he's going to flick it at the guy that's shooting at them. And because I don't feel like I have a good skill for this yet, I am going to add a +1 skill here that he is a hustler at darts.
Nice.
Okay? So that's the skill I'm going to use for this.
So you have 1 for you always start with 1. Do you see that as a brains, brawn, charm, or moxie?
I mean, it could be either brains or brawn. I'm going to say brains because this is him more finesse. This is him aiming. This is him, muscle memory and such. It's not a brute force sort of thing.
And what is your brains attribute?
+2.
All right, so you're at 3. You added a skill.
And then the skill's 4.
Okay, so you still have room for another die if you want to bring in a trope or if you want to leverage a relationship. But really, as long as you're 3, 4, 5 for almost every roll, that's kind of where you want to be. So 4 is totally fine just to roll 4, but if you wanted to leverage a relationship, you could.
Yeah, I don't see any of the tropes working for this particular action, and I don't see how my relationships yet will work for this. So I think I'm going to stay with 4.
Okay.
All right. Well, I got 1 success. I got an 8.
Okay, so again, we're moving towards success. So you kind of finish off your turn by describing what that success looks like. Obviously, an easy one would be you take out someone with your toothpick, but it can look like however you want it to.
Yeah, so the toothpick ends up going and it sticks between the guy's eyes, sticks into his forehead. It doesn't deal any real substantial harm. It just sort of stuns him a bit and he reaches up and grabs for it and starts screaming about it.
All right. Jack, do you want to keep us going? I'm still just getting manhandled back here.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to immediately take out of my leather jacket a switchblade, and I'll look at the thug and I'll be like, put him down, ruffian. And I just basically leap forward and stab him in the back. There is this big kind of dramatic turn. He's like, ah! And then as I lean down towards him, he is bleeding from the mouth somehow. And he looks up and he's like, vampires rule. And in his hand, there's actually a detonator. And all of a sudden, there is a big V-shaped explosion as the gangs all around us get caught up in it. So massive explosion. And at this point, the crooked skyscraper starts to, you can hear it kind of scream in this giant explosion, all that good stuff. And you can feel everything start to shake and move. And that's what happens.
Right. So again, I'll keep walking through how you build a dice pool. I'd say we probably all going to know what to do here in just a couple seconds, so I won't need to do it every time. But you always start with 1. You modify that by which attribute. So this brains, brawn, charm, or moxie for you.
This is moxie. This makes no sense as anything else. Yeah.
And what is is that a 0, 1, or a 2 for you?
That's a 1. So I got +2 right now currently.
So you're a 2 total. Do you have a skill that you think is applicable here?
No, not yet. But I do have Act 1 tropes, which is Flaming Emblem, because, again, the explosion is in a big vampire V shape.
Right. So that puts you at 3. So then we're going to cross that off our list. You could create a skill, or you could leverage a relationship, or you can roll with 3. You really shouldn't roll less than 3 in this game, but rolling at 3 is totally fine.
Right. Well, yeah, here's what I'll do. Jack Falcon is so concerned with Chuck that, he thinks back, there's a brief flashback moment where Jack and Chuck are seen fighting back to back as children. For Chuck, it's an actual child actor. Yes. For Jack, it is still me as an old man, but with rosy cheeked makeup. And also standing at my knees, right? To show that we've been here together before. And then it's going to flash forward Chuck, no! And I heroically leap on you to make sure that the blast doesn't catch you.
Perfect. So then you'll get 1 more for leveraging that relationship, because the emotional weight of my safety spurs you towards greater action. So I think that puts you at 4 total. So you roll your D12s.
So we got some 4 D12s, and I got... Ooh. Well, I got 2 10s and a 1 of the relevant dice. So
that's still a total of 1 success. So you do a cumulative amount there. So you did have 1 success, which puts us at down, I believe now at 6 left. Yeah. But you had a 1, so you have to stress something that you used to build. You can't do the trope because it's gone. So either your attribute or that relationship, you have to stress because you had a 1 in this dice pool.
Ooh, okay. Well, I don't think it makes sense for my character to stress the relationship, considering that that's why I did it.
Okay.
So I think I can be less moxie. I can take some stress to my moxie right now.
Okay. So basically that didn't quite have the same level of success maybe that you were hoping for. So you're just kind of like, maybe I can't rely on that as much. Again, mechanically it still works, but if you end up having to stress it again, it becomes broken and then you can't use moxie at all until you heal it.
Okay. Understood.
So you have tried to assist. So I guess finish off your turn. So you had some success. So how do you see your part ending there?
So basically, we see the explosion engulf many of the other gang members, like entire allied gangs get wiped out. Like some vampires get caught in the crossfire, but mostly we just hear the glass and steel start to crack and shatter as the top half of the Empire State Building starts to fall away from the rest of it.
All right. So we cut over to Chuck. I've managed to sort of break out of the hold of this guy and I do a spinning heel kick, which again is not me actually, but it's the insert shot. It's almost identical to the one I did in the bar, except this time rather than taking the cigarette, I kick the guy right in the face. He goes down like a sack of potatoes. And then there's this moment where I'm just kind of looking around as everything's sort of starting to creak and moan. And then on the other side of the lobby area or the penthouse area, another elevator opens and a gentleman comes walking out. And the way that the building is falling at the same time that they're coming out, it's kind of like what James was mentioning, like those oddity houses where it almost seems like he's raising up like a vampire out of the elevator.
Awesome, yeah.
And he's wearing just a complete blank, like ivory mask, and there's just red streaks coming out. This is the leader of the vampire. And he just pulls up two like gold-plated guns. I'm not a gun person, and just starts opening fire. And it's not quite Matrix level dodging, but it's like the precursor because we don't have the technology to do it right. But so I'm just trying to dodge out of the way, but the entire building is starting to shift and shake. So we're all moving toward him, even though he's the danger point right now. So that's where I'm going to roll my dice as I'm trying to Matrix style out of the way. So I start with 1. This is definitely brawn. Again, I'm a martial artist, so my 1, my 2 for brawn, and then my 2 for martial arts. I'm at 5. So that is what I'm rolling as I'm trying to dodge these bullets. All right. And I have a grand total of 1 success. So that puts us at 5. So we're over halfway through. I managed to Matrix style dodge all these bullets around me. He's even like maybe, or it could be a girl, we don't know yet, is taking out other gang members behind us, maybe even their own people, like they're indiscriminately just shooting, but we're all now moving toward him or it as the building collapses. So now that we've all gone, we can go again. We don't have to go in the same order. I could go again right now, or someone else can jump in, whoever thinks they've got a good thing to keep us moving. So we're a little over halfway. A good roll could end the scene here. More than likely, it's going to take 2 based on the math. But whoever just thinks they have a good place to take it, jump in.
So where I tangled up in the one gang member after I did my tuck and roll, I kind of out of the corner of my eye and hear this masked figure start shooting. So I'm going to take the person I'm tangled up with and I'm going to try to roll them to make them a meat shield in front of me. So they're getting shot as we're sliding down towards this character, and again just trying to use them as a meat shield, and I will use my strength for that one.
Okay.
And so that'll give me a plus I have 0 bronze, so that's just a flat roll on that one. I will use my plot armor skill, however, though, again, so that'll give me a +2, so I'll be able to roll 3 on this one.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna go here and roll. I've got an 8, a 9, and an 11.
All right, so that is 3 successes. So that was. So we only have 2 left. So more than likely, whoever goes next will end the ambush. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean we have to win, but it just means that the ambush is over. So kind of finish out your narration right on the cusp of this ending one way or the other.
So again, I'm able to get this other gang member kind of up in front of me, and as we're rolling, he catches several bullets in his chest, and you kind of see like those really cheesy, it's like very obviously like the dye packs popping out of the guy's shirt, and I kind of ride him down, and we smack up, and we're not like into the elevator, but like right against the elevator where the door would open, and we're kind of like pinned as the building starts shifting that direction.
Okay. Who would like to go next? Again, more than likely, you're going to be able to end us here, but a bad roll could send us somewhere else. But who has an idea for where they think we can take this from here?
So Gator is realizing that discretion may be the better part of valor here. And so he pries open the doors to this elevator that we have all slid up against because it is the one opposite the one that this masked figure walked out of. And in true movie elevator fashion, the elevator has gone down a floor. So we open up and we're at the top of the elevator. And so I guide all three of you in and I come in behind and then I pull out my gun and I shoot the cable on the elevator and we free ride this elevator down.
That might even be a shoot the rope situation, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is.
Nice.
Perfect. So I'm going to be using my firearm skill, and I'm going to call this brawn because I'm having to muscle the doors open and pull people in. So that is +1 for brawn, +2 for firearms, and then +1 for the trope. So that's 5 total.
That's
2 8s and a 12.
What was that? 2 8s and a 12?
Yes.
Okay. So
Nice.
12s are very special. I love D12, so getting a 12 is a big deal. Right off the bat, it counts as 2 successes. So it's like double successes. But then you have some options of what you want to do with it. One, you can just re-roll it right now and add it to your dice pool. But since you've already ended the act, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So the other thing you can do on it is you can just like bank it and hold onto that D12. And then you can roll it on a future turn when it's someone else's turn. It's the only time you will roll dice when it's not your turn. And when you do that with it, you cannot screw up. Like no matter what you roll. So even a 1 counts as a success. So 1 through 11 counts as a success. Another 12 would count as 2 successes in that case. So basically, whenever we call it the heroic high five, whenever you're assisting someone that way, you cannot make things worse. You can only help them.
All right. I think I'm going to bank it.
Yeah.
That's what makes sense here.
Yeah.
So again, you can kind of finish this off. The act will end when you're done. So put us in a position where we can move into our next act, however you see it. So I mean, we can literally go all the way to the bottom, get in a van and then drive away, or it can be we're just like on another floor and the building is still falling. It's kind of your choice on how you want this to end.
Yeah, I think the elevator goes into free fall for a while and then the brakes engage and you just see the showers of sparks and these chunks of metal and concrete go flying up as it slowly grinds itself to a stop. And we pry the doors back open and we all tumble out and we're on like the 5th floor. And so we have to have a mad dash down the staircase as we hear the building crumbling and collapsing above us. And eventually we make it back out to a van as these chunks of concrete are falling from the sky and landing on the sidewalk around us. And we very LA Volcano dodge the initial blocks as we get in the van and drive away.
Nice.
Perfect. So that ends Act 1. In between each act, we have an opportunity to do another series of what I call interstitial scenes. So basically, we can all go one more time. There's no rolling and just sort of like restate where our characters are now and also kind of maybe move us to the place where we want Act 2 to start. These are optional. None of us have to take this. We can just start right where we're at, or it can be like 2 days later and now we're moving into Act 2. Well, kind of whatever makes sense. But the other thing we have to do is we used 2 of our tropes. So we need to decide for the other 3, do we want to keep them because we think they'll come important later and move them into Act 2? Or we can keep some of them, we can keep none of them, but we need to have 5 before we move into Act 2. So does anybody have a strong opinion about the 3 that are left and keeping them? Or do we want to reroll a brand new 5? What's people's thoughts here?
I would like to keep Desperate Object Catch. I think that's a good one to keep.
Okay.
And I think Right Outside still has potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
See, I'm ready to re-roll everything just to see, like
how it rolls.
all the possibility. Yeah. 1, more rolls. 2, all the possibilities that we can possibly see within the tropes. But
Fair.
If you guys want to keep some, by all means, let's keep some.
Let's keep Outside Ride and then
I mean, if we're going to keep one, I would say Desperate Object Catch would be the one to keep personally.
Okay.
I mean, I'm good with whatever anyone else suggests, but that is my vote for number 1.
Okay, yeah, let's keep Desperate Object. I can go with that, and let's re-roll the other 4. Though I do want to see Chuck with his Bottled Resolve, or a Falcon with his Bottled Resolve.
Well, I think what's
we
really
always have
great
the
here-
option to do them. You just can't leverage
Yeah.
them. So you can still
Okay.
do
Yeah.
that scene. It just won't
Gotcha.
have the +1 when we do it that way.
Fair.
I
Okay.
assure you, Jack Falcon will be drinking heavily throughout the scene. I can't tell you where yet, but yeah, somewhere.
He was barely in the van before he broke out the flask.
Mhm.
All right. So let's go ahead. So basically, we need 4 rolls. So Ian, if you want to go first, so we need 2 D12s.
All right, we have 3-1. Get
All
the
right, that
ones out
is-
now.
That is, hey, wait, or the radio dies first. So the hey, wait is kind of the situation where something's about to happen and you're like, hey, wait. And then the thing still happens anyways, but we have that sort of moment of realization that it's about to happen. Or the radio dies first is basically something's going to go wrong. And even though it makes no sense, the radio is going to be the only thing that stops working, at least for a little while. And then other things. So it's the thing about like a plane crash, the radio is out before, so we lose contact before it actually crashes. So do either of those stand out to you?
I think, hey, wait.
Okay. Who would like to roll next?
I gotcha. I got a 3 and an 8.
3 and an 8. So that is, again, human chess or desperate object catch. So we can bring that one back in because I think we kind of wanted it in there anyways.
Yeah.
Well, we kept that one. That's the only one that we kept.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
the one. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was the other one. Okay. So we can re-roll or we can do the human chess.
Let's re-roll.
Okay.
8-9.
8, 9. So that is wrong wire or instrument of murder. So again, it's a situation where we're cutting wires and we end up picking the wrong one, so things get worse. Or instrument of murder is when someone dies with the musical instrument. So piano on them, trombone against the head, harmonica down the throat. Some sort of death occurs with a musical instrument.
You act as though there's a choice here, Michael. You act as though I'm not going to pick the deadly musical instrument every single time.
Okay. All right. I'm getting to know you. I think I'm starting to figure out who you are as a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
All right, James.
Okay, let me see here. We've got 11-2.
11-2. So that is after action healing drama. So that's one of the rare times where we might actually, in an interstitial scene, have a dramatic moment where we get to do some acting here as we sort of reevaluate what's gone before and what's ahead. Or we also have Beast in the Maze, which is a classic labyrinth situation where we're in a bad situation and there's something down there that we have to avoid, is hunting us, or we have to find.
See, I love the labyrinth myth, but I also love the scene from Boondock Saints after the huge firefight. I don't know. Let's do the healing scene just in case.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, so that's one of those where it probably between scenes, or it could
Yeah.
even be in the middle of an action scene. Like again, we can do whatever we want, but it's where we have some actual dramatic acting trying to happen in this bad action movie.
I love it.
All right, Ian, give us our last one, please.
Wait a second. That is 2-11.
So we got instant knots or bathroom breakout. So instant knots is where we are able to like use a whip in a way that's really not how they work, or throw a rope over something and it's like a grappling hook situation. Bathroom breakout is where we need to get out of a situation. We happen to find a bathroom, and of course there's an air vent or a window that allows us to escape the situation we're in.
I think, given where I feel the story is going, I think Bathroom Breakout is the one that I feel would come up.
Of those two, I think that's the one that I would lean towards as well.
Because this is a very urban feeling setting, and there are going to be lots of tight spaces, I think.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. So does anybody want to do an interstitial scene? So between acts, we kind of get a sense of where your character is. You can also move us forward in time or geography to a different building. I kind of like the idea that we are still in this building that is still falling as we move into the next act. But again, it's whoever wants to do whatever. So does anybody just want to take a scene here and move us forward?
I have a question, actually. When it comes to so I'm expecting a big villainous monologue at some point where the leader, exposits and explains where this is the plot of the movie and we're moving it forward for these reasons because I'm evil and mysterious. I'm assuming is that something that we don't have? Is that an off-screen thing that we just assume happens, or how does that work exactly?
You have the ability to just sort of bring that up whenever you want, but there is a mechanic. If you roll your dice pool and you just get all blanks, so you don't get any ones, but you also don't get any successes, you just get 2s through 6s. So nothing actually changes. That is then what we call the villainous cutscene, where rather than you describing nothing really happening, you get to tell us what that is. So we jump over to the villain and we get that expository dialogue from their point of view. Maybe it explains why what you tried to do as your character didn't work because like, oh, I anticipated that. So that's why I have moved. So you basically get to do a villain cutscene whenever that happens.
Gotcha. What's the difference between the villain cutscene and then the mic drop mechanic?
Oh, so the needle drop is where you get you get to change the results. So if you roll and you get nothing, you could choose to do a needle drop and make it a successful roll by dropping like this is the music that would be playing right here.
Okay,
so you change a bad roll into a good roll. But if you just get all nothings, you can then just do a villainous cutscene.
Okay,
all right.
So for an interstitial scene, I'm sitting there and as the elevator like grinds to a stop, I'm freaking out because all of our hostages we left in the elevator before Gator Dupree had shot the thing. So I'm like going through and I'm trying to pull up that top and I look down and all of the hostages that we were going to exchange are gone. And they were my payday. I was going to get paid for bringing them to this thing. So now I am really upset because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get paid because I owe Flanagan a large sum of money because things happened. And so I'm like, where'd they go? How do we find them? What the hell happened? Where's my money going to come from now?
I think our biggest way right now is our own safety. Clearly, this was some sort of play the vampires are making. Our homes may be targeted, our places of business, our friends, family. I just think we need to regroup before we do anything stupid and worry about pay later.
But why would they burn down their own building?
And I'm doing splits across two walls while I'm having this conversation. That is how I'm painting vertical.
Gotcha. I'm going to turn my back to the camera and pound my fist on the elevator door and be like, Michelle, she's out there. She's in danger. And then like look back at the camera, like over the shoulder, being like, these vampires, they'll pay for this.
Gator just puts in another toothpick.
At that point, I'll look at the three of you and I'm like, well, this is going to cost us, but we need to talk to the operator.
All right. So I think
hell with your payday, man. To hell with it.
I think that leads us right into Act 2. So whoever wants to basically go first now, you will introduce one of the two obstacles. So we have find a place to hide and magical technological defenses. I even think that we could make that like we're still in this building that's collapsing. So maybe it's navigating out of this building as it is either completely sideways or continues to collapse. So whichever one you want to go and however you want to flavor it, whoever goes first gets to decide that.
So I've got one for find a place to hide, actually.
Okay.
So as much as I would love to continue a scene where the skyscraper is still falling, actually, I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be funny if that, like, each floor we go down another one and it's still falling, but, like, it seems like it's at, like, speed, right? But anyway.
Well, again, and we could do it in that order. So the place to hide could be getting out of this building. Again, you can kind of interpret these however you want.
I've got something very specific for find a place to hide. And what's going to happen is we are, in fact, going to do exactly that. We're going to go down and then we're going to get to the bottom. And as we open the doors, there's like the scene where the doors open and there's a bunch of vampire thugs like all ready and they're like pumping the elevator doors full of lead. It's like this huge scene where you have a bunch of like flashes go off. There's shotgun shells and machine guns. And then it pans to an empty elevator door. And then we jump out of like from like the top of it, right?
Nice.
Where we've like, and we shoot all the thugs down. There's a brilliant action scene. We all look good, especially Gator. Right, Gator somehow has like a full auto machine gun or like a Gatling gun, just mows a bunch of people down, and full on like double handed. Right, where the point of the scene is not to show off the action, but to show off Gator's physique, right, which is really very much like Southwestern like babyface pro wrestler. But like from the 70s, so there's like plenty of flab, but a little bit of definition, right? So we fight our way.
He is corn-fed Nebraskan.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So we fight our way out, and as we're driving in our van, right, there is a radio signal that goes out from the mayor. marking us, this gang, as terrorists.
Oh,
and
nice.
so we are now enemy number 1 within New York. So that's where we're at. So obviously, we need to find a place to hide and lie low. So at that point, we've driven back to the bar. We've actually driven to the currently unopened James O'Flanagan pub, right? And which is also where I live. And we're going to go there, and I'm going to burst into the area like, Michelle! Like, trying to find my paramour. And, like, the camera starts to zoom in, and that's, like, where we'll start our scene, I imagine. Where, yeah, it's time to get out. Michelle's gone. We don't know what happened to her. But the city's on high alert. We got to find a place to lay low.
Okay. So hey, since you set that up beautifully, do you want to roll now, or do you want to continue us a little bit further and then roll your dice?
Ooh.
It could be looking for the place, gathering equipment, like, oh, we're going to need supplies if we're going to lay low for a while. So it's like,
Oh, okay. No, I got it. You're absolutely right. Okay. So I go to James O'Flanagan, and I'm going to say, Officer O'Flanagan, I know that we've had our rough spots over the last couple of years. You were the first person to send me to juvenile detention, but I think that over the years we've earned each other's trust, and I would never commit such a heinous act of terrorism in New York, nor would my compatriots.
Wants to be the NPC, jump in.
Oh,
I will absolutely sound like the Lucky Charms character if I try this accent.
Oh, yes, do it.
I'm hoping
Do it.
somebody else
Do
will
it.
jump in
Do
first.
it.
Oh, my friend Jack, I've known you since you were a wee lad, but I can't have you in my bar at this time. It's too hot. You got to hide.
Yes, O'Flanagan. That's exactly why I'm here. I need your street smarts. I need a place to lay low.
You need to go with the last place they'd be looking for you.
No, Officer O'Flanagan, we can't go. And at that, I turn my head, and there's like an extreme close-up zoom underground. And then there's a big musical swell, right?
Yep.
But yeah. Exactly. And so at that point, there's like a musical montage that has us going deeper into the sewers or into the subway. And it's at this point that we start to catch some heat. And it's now a chase scene through the decrepit sewers or subway system of New York.
All right. So I think this would be a good time to roll the dice to see how well we're doing. And again, all this sort of like extra stuff is the way the game is supposed to work. Like you have so much free reign to just say whatever you want. The dice only decide if we are closer to ending this obstacle or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're currently doing a find a place to hide. So it's got 12 at the moment.
Sure. So I will say that my schmoozing made it so like Officer O'Flanagan gave me a subway map, and it's like a proper metro subway map that's like ancient and tattered, but like there's like points on the map. It's like, this is where you need to go in order to lie low. And that's what we're following as we're being chased by, it's not just gang members, right? We've also got cabbies trying to hunt us down. We've got honest to goodness police officers trying to hunt us down, right? Like it's the citizenry. It's not just other gangs. And then of course, every now and then you'll see like a vampire tattoo under the sleeve of a police officer or something like that to see that the vampires have truly infiltrated all of these aspects of society. But in order to get us out of here, I would say that that's probably a brains check with schmoozing to help me out here. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's a +3. So I've got 4 to roll in total, I believe.
Okay. And then
right.
Gator still has your heroic high 5. You can use it now. You can hold it till as long as you want. You can have as many of those as you collect over the game, but you can't. There are timeouts in football. You can't take them with you at the end of the game. So at some point you need to use them.
right.
I think we're good. Oh, yeah. And by the way, during that scene where we're schmoozing with James O'Flanagan, I'm obviously drinking the entire time, right? Like, I just want to toss that out there. So yeah, I'm going to roll 4 dice, and we've got...
Yeah. So actually, we'll do a quick flashback where O'Flanagan like gives you a hug, like, I've always considered you like a son. And then he'll put some whiskey, like he'll just give you a little bottle of whiskey or a flask. He'll put it in your pocket and pat you right before you walk out.
Ooh, it's also going to have like his name on it or something like that.
Like a personal brew?
Okay.
Like a personal microbrew? Yeah,
exactly. Okay. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so I rolled a 9, a 10, and a 12.
So you're sitting at 4 successes already. Now that 12, you can re-roll it right now, possibly get another positive result, or roll a 1, or you can bank it as a heroic high 5 for a future turn.
Let's see. So I'll get 4 successes and I bank another one?
Yep.
Okay. I don't think things are desperate enough where we need to re-roll that one. So I think I'm going to keep the 4 successes and I'll bank that and I will mark that somehow. Yeah, I'll use this.
Yeah. So just so just find a way. So again, you can use that on anybody's turn. You just have to kind of describe how you're assisting them. And again, you cannot, even if you roll a 1 on that die, it still counts as a success. You can only help if you do that. All right. So at this point, we can kind of combine these. So like the next person could say, oh, I'm working against the magical defenses. Maybe it's drones that are tracking us. It could be heat sensors, or we could focus completely on a place to hide. And then maybe there's like computer access to get into the place. There's like some sort of other thing. It's really, again, whoever goes next kind of has the choice of how they want to describe that. So James or Ian, do either of you want to jump in here and go next?
Yeah, I've got something. Because we are going through the tunnels under the city. And so I picture this as us. We've been going through, different, access tunnels and subway tunnels and such. And we get to a point where we have to go through a stretch of sewer tunnels. Mm-hmm. And so we duck in and we're going through on the little catwalk. And you've got the stream of effluvium going down alongside us. It smells wonderful. And then as we're coming up on a corner, Gator just holds up a hand to stop everybody. And he points out that there's these ripples in the water going against the current. And he says, just wait a minute. And you can hear a search party further up in the tunnel. And Gator ends up picking up just some random bit of debris and just hucking it and having it splash in between these ripples and that search party. And the search party starts coming closer, and what ends up happening is the sewer gators come out and eat them.
Yes, you did it. I was going to say if you were going to do a sewer gator, I was going to do a sewer gator.
Yep. So I think this is going to be brains plus detection.
Okay.
And so that is +4, so 5 total.
Perfect.
That is a whopping 1 success.
Okay.
So it made for good cinema, but it didn't really help us out a whole lot, because now there's still gators between us and where we need to go.
And once they've tasted human flesh, they have
But now they're full, so they're a little less inclined to actually attack us.
Perfect. All right, James, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so with this, we see this scene and we go down and it goes to a cutscene. And this is definitely a throwback to the movie The Warrior. So you see, again, a silhouetted person with that kind of gravelly, slightly altered voice. And it's like, so, looks like our prairie gone past the gator bait. Will they get to where we have to stay up even when it's late? And so it's like this weird cryptic hinting like where things need to be going. We're going to continue down, and I'm going to be keeping my ears open, but I'm also trying to figure out ways to kind of conceal so we don't leave tracks. So I'm trying to cover our tracks as we go from stuff behind, and I'll use a brains roll with that one. So that'll be 2 rolls, and I've got deception, so I'll be able to roll 3 with that one.
Okay.
So I'm going to go here, and no successes. I got a 5, 6, and a 7.
Okay, so this is your chance if you want to jump in and do the villainous cutscene so we get an idea of why this is happening, or you could use your heroic trait to re-roll. You could do the needle drop if you think there's a needle drop, and you could turn one of those failures into a success, or if you actually think, well, technically you can turn a 1. So the only thing you could do here is turn it to a 1 success.
I think so. I think I'll use the villainous thing. So again, as we're going through, we're talking through, and it shows us getting past the group where the gator was. We got past that group. And as you hear this voiceover, you see people starting to kind of redirect. And so like maybe they knew about the area where this gator tended to be. And so the clue from the operator, whoever is like broadcasting these messages, are trying to corner people in and hone them into where we're going to be at. And so because we made enough noise, they knew where we are. More people are kind of centering in on our location.
Okay. All right. So then for my scene here, I feel like, so we're in the 80s. And this is when CGI was kind of at its infancy, but people tried to do things. So, so we're going to be in the sewers, and then the camera is going to sort of shift up to like a top-down view, and now we're fully in like pitfall.
Oh,
and
nice.
So we were like jumping over gator heads. We are grabbing like wires and swinging over pits. There are other enemies that are coming by, but we are like distracting them, or maybe even they like shoot and there's literally like a bullet coming at us and we have to jump over it. But we are navigating our ways deeper into the sewers. And the further we go, there's less people chasing us, but it seems like we're being funneled to something. So it's kind of clear that we're getting close to something, but we don't know yet if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe there's even a scene where we open up the map again and we sort of got misdirected. So we're not exactly sure if we're in the right spot or not. So we are getting away from the people that are chasing us, but we're not yet sure if we're getting close to where we're supposed to go. So I will roll in that moment. So I got my 1 to start with. This is a brains for me, which is not great, but I have a +1. And I'm actually going to use my parkour skill because I am able to jump on top of the gator heads. So I'm doing some very cool action choreography moving. And then I'm going to also use the relationship with the operator because I have that conflicted relationship. So some of these clues that they are giving seem to relate specifically to my relationship with them, that there's like maybe a certain word or phrase that they used. We will flash back to me getting that phone call as a kid. And then it's the same message or a similar message that you see with my eyes, that this is something that means something to me, but we don't have the full story yet. So I have a full 5 dice that I will be rolling. And I get 2 successes, no 1s. That puts us down to 5. So we're a little over halfway to finding our place to hide, but we are not yet out of the woods. So I believe we're out of the subway. I believe we've all gone. So now whoever wants to go next can go again. It doesn't have to be in the same order. Just now that we've all gone, we all need to start again.
So I think at this point we sit there and we start crawling out of the subway. We find that like the subways come to like a dead end, and there's just like the ladder of the manhole going up. So we climb up, and as we start sliding over, it's like the center of like urban New York traffic with like vans and trucks going everywhere. We have to like do the whole Frogger thing to duck and dodge and dive while people are chasing us across this busy thoroughfare.
Yeah. And ironically, that would actually be a better time for the CGI, but we don't use it here.
Fair.
We blew that budget. We don't have it.
Oh no. Let me check my character sheet again here.
This is more like Bowfinger. Like we're just trying to go across the busy interstate or highway.
I'm going to go ahead and use my Moxie and my luck. So again, that'll be 4 die for me on this one.
Okay.
Coming back to where my dice roller is. So I got 2 12s.
Ooh.
So I'm sitting there and I'm dodging through, and as I just get across as like the person following directly behind me gets hits by a bus, and like they go and it just like totally gets flattened out, and like everything else because of that, everything else just kind of grinds to a stop. There's like another big collision behind that bus and a car flips over, but it creates enough of a thoroughfare for the 4 of us to kind of escape and then run down an alley and possibly find like another building that we can duck into and hide.
So with 2 12s, and we're only 1 away from being done, if you want to re-roll one of them, if you get any success, you can just say that we've gotten to the hideout. You can bank both of those as heroic high fives and just let someone else go to do that final piece. It's
so I re-rolled one with an 8.
That gets us there. So basically you can just narrate us. We get to the hideout, whatever it wants to look like, but we are there.
Yeah, so again, we get out of this huge, like, giant snarled traffic jam explosion that we created as, like, our pursuers just get flattened by that bus. And we run through, and then we go down an alley and off to the side, and I'm able to, like, take my lockpicks out, and I kind of jimmy open the lock, and there's, like, just an old safe house, so we're able to kind of pile in, and we close the door and lock it up. And we're taking some deep breaths, and there's, like, some cabinets and some, like, food and some water and stuff in there. Like, this has been a point that we've used in the past to kind of stop and resupply and catch our breath.
Okay, I love it. So there's a lot of sort of flexibility in the way the game works. Technically, we still have an obstacle in Act 2, which is the magical defenses or technological defenses. But I almost kind of feel like we sort of combine those a little bit, and I almost feel like this should be more of in time for an interstitial scene before we go again. I don't know that it makes sense to do the other one unless maybe there's like a run one of us needs to make because there's something we need. But then like one of our next act things is getting the things together. So does anybody have an idea of how we want to bring in that other one? Or do we just want to sort of say we are ready for our Act 3. So we're going to take our break here. We're going to like decide what needs to be done and then move into Act 3. I'm open to either option that people feel like they want to do.
We could have tripped an alarm. Like we thought this was a safe house, but they knew about it. And so we went in, we trip an alarm.
Okay, but we aren't aware of it. So there's that red blinking light somewhere. We think we're safe. So then we would be there. So we're also roughly have 45 minutes left. So we probably would. This will be a good time for that montage sort of thing where we can kind of jump ahead to the next act. Okay. So we do have our drama scene if we want this to be where Jack has his big dramatic moment in between, or we can save that for another time. But we need to either keep the 5 tropes we have, because I don't think we use any of this act, or re-roll them.
Ooh, yeah. Can you go through the tropes again real quick? Because I forgot to write them down.
Okay, our current tropes are a desperate catch, hey wait, instrument of death, healing for an interstitial scene, and bathroom breakout.
This would work for hey wait or bathroom breakout real easy where we're at.
I also like the instrument of murder. I think maybe that comes up in the finale against the vampire lord.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's getting pushed to the big fight at the end for sure.
I definitely want to keep that one. Instrument of murder. Bathroom breakout kind of makes sense for basically when we start Act 3, we're in the safe house, but it's going to become an unsafe house.
Right.
And then desperate object catch we want to keep. So do you want to reroll the other 2 and see what we come up with?
Well, see, I kind of have this thing where it's like, hold on, wait. Where I feel like that is going to be a great thing to start the next.
Okay, that's a perfect transition. Scene. That's what I was thinking.
Exactly.
That's a really strong transition. Like we're safe, and hey, wait, there's an alarm. Oh crap!
Right. So
no, I had something else.
You had something else. No, go with it.
Yeah. So my wait was going to be, again, for some reason, I just want every act to begin or end with an explosion. Yes. And so this time it's going to be like I don't know why, but it's like, they were just like explosion. They need an explosion like every 20 minutes to make sure that the audience is still awake, to make sure that that's, going to be happening.
Yeah.
So the safe house is going to be like, oh, come on in here, gentlemen, or something like that. And it's like, as soon as they push the door open, it triggers the bomb and it just goes off in our faces.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then that's it. That's the end of it. But the thing is, right, is that we have to consider that we've got the collective pieces to build the thing to get us to the last operational Waffle House, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that we need to start considering what our MacGuffin's going to be at this point. And mind you, I love the idea that this is like not mattered throughout the entire movie up until now, where it's like, shit, we got 10 minutes left in this movie. Quick, we got to make something happen, Yep. Where it's just been like excuse for action after excuse for action, which I'm totally okay with here. But like, what exactly are we trying to build?
I figured the pieces were the hostages, because the hostages got scattered and lost. So we have to regather them to get them back to hey, here's the people, kind of. And
right. Maybe they had information. Maybe they overheard something about the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's really good, actually. Yeah, because then it's like we go and we're rescuing hostages, and each time it's like, oh, they're taking the others to, Waffle House HQ or whatever it is. And then every time you get a little bit closer, and then eventually, and that's exactly what happens, right? So we're doing this. We're collecting the hostages, and one of them leads us to a safe house. Right. So again, we're kind of bleeding a little bit, but I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because we get to the safe house, and that's when we realize that one of the hostages was actually a mole for the vampires the entire time. And that's where we get our second explosion. And again, it's going to be a big V-shaped explosion, because we have to make sure that we save budget. We only had budget for one V-shaped explosion. In fact, we spent all our money elsewhere, but we're just going to reuse that same shot. We're going to reuse that explosion shot. And you know what? Who's going to notice?
Sometimes it'll be in slow motion. Yeah. Sometimes it'll be
different angles. We come at it at different angles. That's what we're doing here. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I think what happens here is we get another call from the operator, and they say, you need to find the hostages. One of them has the information that you need, but I don't know which one. And so that is where we collect the pieces, is we have to rescue all the hostages. And one of them, which will of course be the last one, tells us the thing we need
obviously
for the next one.
I'm going to propose that the last hostage is my paramour, Michelle Rodriguez.
100%. Yes.
Yes, obviously. But I also have another idea that I wanted to toss out there as well, which is, okay, this is the camera. We see the camera. There's a rotary phone. It's ringing on the hook. And then you see the betrayer hostage beckoning us. And then Chuck goes to pick it up. Again, strange relationship with the operator. And then lifts the receiver up. You know, like, you don't hear what the operator says. You see Chuck's look of horror. Wait, don't open the door. And then that's when the explosion. Exactly. Boom, 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 boom. Massive explosion all over the place. And that way we got like 4 tropes all up in there. Nice. And then it leads us into Act 3, I think, pretty well. So yeah, that's where my brain is going with that.
Yeah. No, I love that. That works.
So who wants to kick us off officially into Act 3 and rescue our first hostage?
I just want to add one little detail to the end of that before we get into Act 3, because it was Snake Eyes that went to open the door.
Oh,
I think that him being his uncanny luck self, he body surfs the door as it is blown off the hinges.
Yes. I'm definitely rolling that plot armor.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then it's like you're all like, you have like the soot all over your face comically, and your like hair is blown up, you know. Yeah,
your eyebrows are gone.
Yeah. Somehow, but they're back next scene.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I would also like to point out that my character has been inexplicably just not here for large portions over the last couple of scenes. Where it's like, is Jack Falcon still in this movie? Like, what happened? You know, like, that's what I want to like be like. Oh man, the camera is elsewhere. Yeah,
he didn't do any of the scenes in the sewer.
No, it's in like, I'm not going to go in a sewer. No. I don't care if it's a set. I'm not going there. It's in my contract. Yeah,
I think for the rest of Act 3, just for continuity errors, like some scenes my eyebrows will be shaved, and other scenes they won't.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's fun.
That's good.
Okay, right. So Act 3, we're getting in there. We're collecting the pieces. We're building the thing. Well, I suppose considering the time that we have left, do we want to montage the collect the pieces thing, and then
we probably should.
We're like, let's be real. I think our focus should be on the big fight at the end.
Yes,
of course.
I mean, that is what we're. Yeah, I just think like each of us just like kind of describe. We won't have to roll one scene where we save a hostage, where our character is sort of the lead of that scene. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Hater, do you want to kick us off there, or do you want to go last?
Well, I was going to say that as part of this, because we need a way to get around, because we left our vehicle at Jack Flanagan's bar. Mm-hmm. So I am going to use my personal contact of the supplier, and she is going to come and pick us up, and so we are going to be using her nondescript white panel van to collect all of our hostages that we are having to round up.
She absolutely needs to be a female Murdoch from the A-Team.
Oh, yes. Ain't getting in that van. All right. So I will go first. So we get to a location and we see there's like 3 vampire gang members. They're smoking. They've got the hostage. They have like a bag over their head, so we don't know who it is yet. They're looking out like through the blinds, and then they hear a knock on the door. There's some sort of like passphrase that goes back and forth, but they get the right call. So they open the door, and this is like Chuck just comes flying in, kicks, punches, and again, it's like very, very clear that this is just him in like a studio doing like a kata, but then they're editing it so it looks like I'm actually interacting with these people. And then the next thing you know, they're all unconscious, and I'm standing there. I got my pose, and I look over. That's how the dragon does it. Pull off the hood. It is not the paramour, but it is somebody, and like, come with me if you want to live. And I pull them into the van.
Mm-hmm. So we're going through the next scene. We're sitting there and we're trying to find information where these hostages have been gone. And we find an informant, but they don't want to talk to us. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this guy, and he's like, no. And so like, let's make a bet. So I take off, like, it's this gold heirloom watch. I put it on a thing. I'm like, okay, high card wins. And I sit there and I hold out this deck of the card. And he sits there and he pulls the king of spades. And it was like, oh crap. And so I reach through and I go down, and like slow motion, I pull the next card up, and it's the ace of spades. And so because of the bet, he has to tell us where the other hostages are so we can go and we can collect like a few more after that.
So it's that scene from Maverick where he summons the card at the top. Yeah,
that's exactly. Yeah.
All right. I've got something really scummy for mine where it's like, I'm assuming that we've gone through all the hostages at this point, right? Or Gator, did you get your, oh no, you did your scene, right?
I did. This is how we're getting to all of the hostages.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, have your scene then. Let's go with you next.
All right. So this is going to be a very James Bond Tomorrow Never Dies opening scene where it's one of the vampire guards is sitting on the can reading the newspaper and he goes to light a cigarette and his lighter doesn't work. And this hand just comes into scene with a Zippo lighter to light his cigarette for him. And he lights his cigarette and he takes a couple of puffs and then he realizes that he's sitting on the can in the toilet. And there shouldn't be anyone in there to offer him a for a smoke. And he looks up and it is Gator. They didn't have the ability to build an actual bathroom scene, so they are literally in a public bathroom and he is hanging on the back side of the door. He's got his knees hooked over the top of the door. And so the guy looks up and he just pistol whips the guy across the face.
Yeah. But are you shirtless and oiled up in this scene?
Maybe.
The answer is yes, obviously.
Yes.
You've got your glistening pecs on display. That's just what's going on. Yes, 100%. Okay, so for my final scene, here's what I want to add to it, right? We finally find Michelle. Michelle, like, it's finally there. It's like, we have this heartwarming scene. I have this grand monologue. And then I have what is probably the worst kind of interstitial cut-in with soft, sexy jazz music playing, where we have an extended 7.5 minute sex scene, which is like deeply uncomfortable to watch and really it's crazy, right? Immediately following that, like as in there's going to be one quick scene and then the scene immediately after that, the vampires burst in. They shoot down Michelle. Michelle is dead. Oh, no. She's fucking dead. And so, like, we get the information that we need from Michelle, immediately is gunned down, and now it is our turn to go and find the vampire lord and fight him at the final Waffle House. That's what I got.
Because we cannot have this movie pass the Bechdel test.
Never. How dare you?
No. So, do you remember the movie? I think it's called The Specialist with Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas. They're assassins trying to kill each other, and it's the lady from Basic Instinct. Who's that?
Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone. So Sylvester Stallone and Sharon Stone have this most awkward sex scene in a shower where it is like not sexy at all, and they're just talking. So we're getting all this exposition about, well, the vampire lord has found the last Waffle House, but it's like thrusting and grunting and like these camera angles. We're getting all this terrible exposition during the sex scene. So we get the vampire lord, we get the Waffle House, and we get where it's at all during the sex scene.
I am so drenched in sweat.
Oh God,
that you can feel the grease through the screen.
Ew. Ew.
Yeah.
I need a shower after this. I need to change my socks. This is terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. All right, but we are now geared up, ready to go. We are in our white panel van, and we are driving towards the last Waffle House to fight the vampire lord. So who wants to get us into that scene now? So we got we got 4 heroic high 5 dice. So we could blast this pretty easy because that's 4 guaranteed successes.
Because James re-rolled one of his.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So we have 3. So that's 3 guaranteed successes right off the bat. But who wants to lead us in? So I feel like, Rob, you maybe want the final moment with the instrument of murder. So we might want to save you toward the end.
I'm cool with that. 100%.
I have a scene for us when we get to the Waffle House. I think I have, unless Ian has something, I think I know what I want to do with this.
I mean, if you have a way to open Act 3, our actual playing Act 3 out of the montage, go right ahead.
Okay. So we come out of the montage. Again, we've got our information. So we take the van, we drive up. We have our other hostages. We drive up to the Waffle House. We're ready to fight. We go in, and the Waffle House is largely empty. You've got like a waitress and a single cook, and like one person like eating in the back corner of the Waffle House. And we're like, "Hey, we're here for the vampire lord and all this stuff." And he comes out of like the back, like where they keep the storage stuff, not the kitchen area, but where they store. He walks out through those swinging double doors, and he gives some villainous monologue about, what he was wanting to do, and this was all just a setup because he's going to wipe out the other gangs, and this was a way he could kind of lure them all in and just wipe them all. And he doesn't care about the hostages; they're just collateral damage, so he can get everybody together because they were all supposed to die in the Statue of Liberty. And in this scene, Michelle, who we thought was dead, comes out, and she's still got like the blood spattered shirt from before, and she comes out and she takes off the Vampire's Lord masks and kisses him right in front of Falcon, and Falcon just goes into this absolute rage. And at that point, vampires start like breaking in through the glass, and we have another fight scene. So again, it's vampires coming through, breaking in the glass, start flipping a table. I'm going to flip a table and kind of duck behind it because I don't fight much. I am more like runaway type, so I'm going to try to dodge and kind of get out of the way. But they'll set up this whole final like in battle scene for us.
All right, so I want to possibly tag, feel free to say no, anybody here. Is the Vampire Lord, when they're revealed, either O'Flanagan or is it Jack's twin brother played by the same actor?
Mayor.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we haven't about the mayor.
I love the mayor.
Yeah, the only other time the mayors got up is when they announced that we were terrorists, and it totally makes senes here.
Yes. Yeah. Good call, Ian. Yep. Great call. Yeah. So let me go ahead and roll. Now, this will be a small roll.
Question about the heroic high fives. Do we have to use them on someone else's turn?
Yes, they have to be used on someone else's turn.
Then I will use my heroic high five on James's turn.
Okay.
So you do still roll it, because if you get a 12, it still counts as 2 successes, but it will at least be 1
and a 12.
Okay. So you still get positive 1 because the 12 counts as 2. You do have to stress something that you use to build the dice pool. And then you have the 12. You can re-roll it right now and try to get a better result, or you can also hold on to it for a future turn as a heroic high five.
I will go ahead and re-roll that 12, and I will stress my brawn because, again, I am not a fighter or combat-y type character, and I got an 8.
Okay, so that's now you have a total of 2 successes.
2. Okay.
So we are at 10.
And I got a 3 on my heroic high five, so that is 1 more success.
We're down to 9 in this fight. So if you want to finish off that description.
So I'm sitting there again, people start like breaking the thing, and like I immediately like flip a table and duck. And again, it's like the people that were eating in the corner, they're like not quite an elderly couple, but they're probably like in their late 40s, early 50s. And it's late night Waffle House, so you expect random crap to happen. So they kind of look up and just like go back to eating their eggs.
That is definitely late night Waffle House.
It is.
All right. So I think I want to go next because, again, I want to give Rob probably the last scene. So I'm going to basically look at the paramour and go, "You bitch, no one breaks Jack's heart." And I'm just we're going to have like a martial arts fight because apparently she's now like the main bad guy. She's like the number 1 of the Vampire Lord. So we are just like back and forth, kick back and forth. It's clearly like a dude in a wig. Like it's, this is the 80s. They didn't even have female stuntmen.
Mustache and everything. Yes,
clearly. And like, it's not even me. And there's a scene in the background where we are talking, like we are in the scene as our actors when our stunt doubles are doing the fight. And we're just like, we're talking about the big emotional scene here. And it's just really quick in there. But ultimately, I think I'm going to win this fight. So I'm going to roll first, but I think I'm going to end up winning this fight because Jack's my best friend. So I've got, my brawn is 2 plus 1. I'm going to leverage the relationship with Jack, and I'm actually going to use my Achilles heel. So I'm going to roll 7 dice on this one because I really want to win this fight and get as close so that we can have our big moment here. But again,
hold on.
Yeah.
Can I give you my heroic high five die that I have?
So you roll it yourself, but it's going to guarantee at least 1 success, possibly 2 if you roll 12.
Let's do that. Because I've got my high five, and I feel like this is the most appropriate time.
Okay. All right. So I ended up with a 1, which counts as 2 1s. That's 2 setbacks, but I have 4 successes total. So we're at a net positive 2, and one of those was a 12, which I'm going to re-roll right now in nothing. So we are down to 6. So we're halfway through the fight. It's going back and forth. At one point, I grab her hair, and there's like a quick scene where I'm actually pulling the wig off of the stunt double, but they edit around it. And then I just come in with like an elbow to the throat, just like it's like Roadhouse. Like I basically pull out her throat. She falls to the ground. I'm like, no one hurts Jack.
I would love to Oh man, so I would love to at this point. One of my favorite things in like bad movies is when they very clearly had a different song in mind. And so it's like I want me to like have the killing blow against Michelle as I like drop a jukebox on her. And then I will turn to the camera and like with a tear I will say, "This is what it feels like when hawks cry." Because obviously they weren't going to get the rights to the Prince song, so it's like we've got to do like something that's like adjacent. Nice. But that, I want that to be that's like adjacent in there. So yeah.
Right.
So I feel like Gator has to have the killing blow against the Vampire Lord. 100%. I want to toss that out there. So I think it makes more sense that I get to go next. Is that right?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Because I feel like we're doing pretty well here. So yeah, I'm going to drop the jukebox and then I'm going to, oh man, is it? Yeah, it's time. And then I'm going to turn to the Vampire Lord and I'm going to be, "You, this is all your fault." And I'm going to lunge. I'm going to pull out my knife, right? And I'm going to heroically charge at the Vampire Lord as he's unloading clips into me, and I'm just taking like hit after hit after hit, and I'm just like bleeding all over the place, but like with a heroic stab, right? Like this is where like the mask falls off of the Vampire Lord, revealing that it's the mayor. But I go down for the count, and this reveal helps like spur everyone to action and is the inspiration that Gator apparently needs, as is my sacrifice, right? Like all of this is necessary. So I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to argue that this is charm because my heroic death comes from my charm. I'm going to say that it's in my contract. I'm going to use my heroic trait and I'm going to, let's see. Yeah, no, fuck it. That's good enough. Yes. So I'm going to roll +4 with that.
So the heroic trait is a reroll option. So roll your dice, and anything that's not a success, you can reroll with that. So
how many successes do we need to finish?
6.
6
currently. Yeah.
Okay, I'll hold my high five for the last scene for Ian. Okay. That way he'll get a scene too. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Can I add anything else? You know what? I'll say that I will bring in my relationship with Chuck as well, because we'll have a moment where we like do the Arnold play like the palm thing. Yeah, exactly. The hand clap. So I'll toss in an extra die that way, and we'll do the hand clap, and then we'll touch foreheads for some reason, and then I think it's supposed to be intimate and like sweet and stuff like that. But like on camera, because I'm so much older, it just looks really bad. Yeah. It's like, ooh, that's weird. Like, don't do that, right? Okay, so I've got 4 dice that I'm going to roll here. I've got, oh boy, that's bad. I've got an 11 and 3 2s. So I'm going to use my heroic trait. It's in my contract. I've got to go down heroically.
So you keep the 11, or you can reroll it if you want to try to get a 12, but I think it makes sense to keep it and just reroll the others.
No, I'm good. I got a 12. So, so I'm actually pretty good. I got an 11 and a 12. And doesn't make sense not to. So I'll just reroll the 12, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it counts as 2, and then you get to reroll it again. So it can be an additive to the successes, but it can also be a 1.
Okay. What happens if I rolled another 12?
It counts as 2, and you get to keep going.
Okay.
The dice explode.
All right, hell yeah, let's go.
I would like to have a turn, please.
So what will happen? So if he ends up finishing off, you're still going to get the final scene, and you just don't have to roll any dice.
So luckily for you, it was not a success. So that's 5. I believe that's 5, right? Yeah. I think I have a high 5 now. Is that right, or not?
If you just want to hold on to
it. Yeah. No, I have 5. I have 5 successes, Ian. This is the layup. This is the good actor has given you the thing. Yeah, go for it.
So during the hail of bullets that are just absolutely riddling Jack, one of them goes whistling past him, and you see it's clearly just a already fired bullet on a piece of fishing line.
Yeah.
Filament coming through, because at one point it passes in front of one of the lights and you can actually see the filament super glued to the top of it. It comes through and you see Gator do that sort of sidestep to dodge out of the way, and it snaps off his toothpick.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And so he spits out the other half of a toothpick, and he pulls out his gun. And it's one of those, like Smith & Wesson 500. It's one of those entirely too large for anything. But he just takes it and he shoots it, and you watch as the bullet goes and it ricochets off of a skillet that is hanging over the griddle, and it ricochets off, and it catches the mayor full on in the face as Jack is collapsing. So Jack gets to see that the mayor dies before he expires.
Nice.
I think the mayor like falls into the deep fryer. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Or just falls against the griddle.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like that scene in the second Terminator where the guy hits the griddle and you can see where they are shooting the steam in off from the side.
Yeah. Oh, Ian, can I give you one more? I feel like this is also good. So I want the camera then pans to you in a close-up, like a medium close-up, right? Uh-huh. It's like, you say, the line is, "That's for Jack." But like it's very clearly ADR'd because your actor didn't say Jack in the scene, and they're like, whatever, he's gonna keep rolling. It's like very clearly it's like duosyllabic or something like that.
Or he forgot that he was supposed to say it, and so they're out of sync.
Yes.
So like he has this moment where all of a sudden he remembers, oh shit, I was supposed to say a line, and then he blurts it out, but it's voiced over so that the voice is in the right spot, but the mouth doesn't move right. Yeah.
So the camera is focused on you, and it's like obviously intensely in your moment, but then it cuts to Jack's body, and we hear the line, "That's for Jack," because we had to re-record.
There we go.
There's no lip, so you're not on camera.
I'm gonna call this one a brains one again, because I'm figuring out the angle to get the ricochet right, along with my firearms. So that is a total of 5 dice.
Yeah, all you need is one success.
And just because I haven't done it yet, I'm gonna go ahead and do my Achilles heel of I work best under pressure.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm gonna get 2 more on top of this. That's 1 success, 2 successes.
That is more than you needed. So you can just wrap this up. I mean, you kind of already have, but if you want to add any mustard on the end, and then we will go into our final scenes where we all get one more kind of coda type scene.
I think just the pan down and the "that's for Jack," and then it just goes into that sort of sentimental, morose 80s soundtrack go on as we watch Jack slowly expire on the Waffle House floor.
No, Ian. No, come on. I'm alive somehow. Like, even though I took
that's where you pull over, you've got a bulletproof. You got a bulletproof vest on.
No. I like it better if I just live inexplicably, where it's just like, I should be like dead 1,000 times over, but it's like, I'm like barely lived.
Go back. We can use that trope of the sentimental healing and stuff. It'll be like that end scene of Lethal Weapon 2, where Mel Gibson's character is all shot up and they're sitting there crying. They're trying to like hold stuff when you hear like the helicopter and the ambulance coming, trying to rush him in. And he's got like the little clear like oxygen mask thing, trying to get him some oxygen breathing in.
Yes. Oh, that's really good, actually. Holy shit. Yeah.
Okay. And then at the very end, we just brush the debris off of the bar, and we all sit on the stools at the bar, and we have the shawarma scene just at a Waffle House bar.
The waitress is just sitting there slopping hash browns down.
Got that red cup, OJ or Coke.
Yeah.
All right. So then we all get one last scene. Again, we kind of already jumped into that, but you kind of get like, what's the coda? How does this end? Where do you see your character now? It maybe lead into a sequel if you want. And then kind of the last thing we do is if anybody has a name. So once we've gone through the movie, now that we kind of know how it plays out, what do we think the name of this movie would be? So for me, for my coda scene, I think I see myself it's a gravesite. Of course, it's cloudy, maybe even raining. Everybody's dressed in black, and it's the gravesite of my twin brother. What would Chuck's twin brother be named?
Charles.
Charles, yes, of course. Yeah. So it's Charles, and it does say the dragon, like that's on the tombstone as well. And the ages don't quite make sense, but the times. And then I've forgiven myself as I'm going to turn and walk into the street. And then the last thing, there's like a payphone rings, and I don't answer it, and so I'm walking away.
I love that.
I'm going through for mine. We have that shawarma scene go through it, and then you hear that same voice that was kind of announcing that we think may have been the operator that was kind of directing everybody, trying to funnel them towards us. And you hear, but we all know vampires are only killed by a stake through the heart or sunlight. And then you see like where the mayor was, and like maybe they're pulling open the thing where in the morgue where the body should be, and the bag's empty.
That's fun. For me, I think I'm going to have a very sweet scene where I'm like patched up, but like very performative bandages mostly.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there. Yeah, like, but it's also over my leather jacket as well, where it's just like you can see like holes through or like just like big gauze that serves no purpose, that just like red in spots.
What if we see you like in the hospital, and that's why you have these bandages on, but then we see like this super hot nurse come in and like shut the door?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Also that.
Yes. Yes. And
okay. Also that, but what happens before that is James O'Flanagan comes in, and I give him back the flask that has a bullet that was caught right like where my heart would be. And then, I give that back to him, and then he's like, I brought you a special gift. And then it's the hot nurse that walks in.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And then you hear like just the blaringest saxophone you've ever heard. And then it cuts to Gator. It's not Careless Whisper because they can't afford that.
Yeah.
But it's like one like long like
it almost sounds like James Bond movie, like with the GoldenEye music almost.
It's almost like they got some middle school band saxophone player to do riffs on the Law and Order theme.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I think the time might actually work.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah. It's
like
Blue. Late 80s.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well
all right, Gator, finish this off here. You got the last one.
I think Gator is going to have taken advantage of this soft reset. The entire structure of his life has been, dismantled. And so he is going to be going out, and there's just a scene of him outside of this like small cabin out in the woods. And he is just out there showing off his physique. He is out there chopping firewood, and there is a nondescript extra who is obviously his wife carrying a small child should not really make any sense here, but it's just this indication that he has, turned his life around, and he has gone on, because of course the director's daughter, his wife, also needed a cameo in the movie.
Yes.
Awesome. Hey, we got our cameo too. Awesome.
Yay. All right. So we kind of already got, like, I always ask if there's like somebody has like an idea for like a sequel stinger, but I think James already has that with the mayor rising up out of the morgue or the body bag being empty. So we've definitely got a sequel that we can set up. But what do we think the name of this movie would be?
Oh,
okay. So I was thinking about this, where Alligator here, a gator, is very clearly like the main character. And so you'd think that the gang would be like the Alligators or the Gators or something like that. I want to go even dumber. I want this movie to be named the Hell's Kitchen Crocodiles or something like that. And that's also the gang name, where it's like, we're the crocodiles from Hell's Kitchen, because it's New York. But again, Hell's Kitchen Crocodiles starring Gator Dupree, right? Like, I think that's like just tonally or just distant enough where it's like, yeah, that's fine.
I think I'm coming a little closer to the Schwarzenegger Cobra movie and just Crocolisk.
Okay. Ooh. That is a Sylvester Stallone movie, sir.
Yes, you are correct.
Sorry.
Yes, you are correct. Sorry.
Marion Cobretti? Sylvester Stallone? Come on.
I think for me, again, I'm totally stealing it. I'm thinking just Vampire Weekend. Like, this is before the band, so I'm not stealing it.
Actually, that's really funny that Vampire Weekend would have retroactively taken the name.
You're right. They credit this where the name came from in their biography.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually really fun. Yeah.
And do you have a possible title for the movie?
I think this is one of those where the title of the movie in the opening credits is not the same as the title of the movie on the
Yes.
because fun fact, a friend of my wife's was in like an indie production movie, and the name of the movie was Shine of the Dead, because they ended up becoming zombies because of some chemical that leaked into a moonshine still. But they ended up, whenever it got picked up by a distributor, getting renamed to 101 Zombies.
Oh, okay.
So I think that this is an instance where I can see your face, Rob.
It's a way worse title.
It is.
It's a demonstrably worse title.
They did it so that it would come up sooner in searches. That's the entire reason why they did it. I didn't say it was a good thing.
Right? Yeah. No. That happens a lot where they change the title to a worse title.
But okay, but like do like 100 proof zombies or something like that to imply that moonshine is involved. Like,
absolutely.
God damn it.
So I was gonna lose sleep over this. I love it.
So I feel like the title needs to have something to do with the Waffle House, because the Waffle House is that important final scene. So like Dead Over Easy.
Yes. Oh. I like Dead Over Easy. I like that.
I'm thinking of like Vampires Over My Hammy, which is like doubly like confusing because it's a Denny's reference.
Yeah, it's a Denny's reference.
It's a movie set in New York.
I got it. Vampires Covered and Smothered.
Yes.
Because that's a way that you can order your hash browns.
Yes.
Or you call it IHOV, International House of Vampires.
Oh,
and that makes me so much happier because it's a Waffle House and not an IHOP. That's great.
Yeah, yes. So we can end it there. We might come up with some more later, but that's basically how Action 12 Cinema works. All the good, all the bad. We played it exactly the way it was intended to be played. Hopefully you had a good time.
I really, honestly, like the past 2 days, I have needed the laughter from these 2 hours. The past 2 days have been rough, and honestly, just laughing this much has been a huge help. So thank you for the game, for the laughter. Thank you guys for the scenes, because, oh my God, laughing has felt good.
It's been an absolute blast. I've been very much enjoying like the schlock and the curated kind of like action cinema. Oh, it feels so good. I love it. I've had a blast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for playing, Ian. Thank you for putting this together. I really appreciate it. Any chance I get a chance to play with my game, it's a great time. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us and for playing. And I had a blast. It sounded like everybody had a blast. This is one that, ever since I was working on it, I was like, I want to play a game of this, and I just hadn't gotten around to it. So I made time for it.
Yes.
It's like, I have a venue where I can make people sit down and play with me. So let's do it. So real quick, Michael, before we leave, where can people go to get their own copy of Action 12 Cinema if they want to get a copy after listening to us?
So there are a select few friendly local game stores that are carrying it now, so it's possible that you could get it locally, but probably Indie Press Revolution, IPR website is probably the easiest way to go. They have physical copies as well as digital. Anywhere you buy it physical, you also get the digital copy. If you go to Drive-Thru RPG, you can get the digital copy. And then if you go to my website, the RPG Academy, you can also buy it directly from me. I do get a little bit more of that money when you do that, but I also have to deal with shipping stuff. So it's fine. Wherever you get it, I'll be happy. But basically, IPR, Drive-Thru, or RPGacademy.com, you can get copies of it, if not in your friendly local game store. The physical book is $30, but you also get the PDF. The PDF's $15.
Right, and Michael, I'm going to let you plug a Catacon one more time.
Yes. Catacon is the convention that I host in Dayton, Ohio each year in November. Action 12 Cinema was absolutely born and raised at previous Catacons. A lot of the playtesting that I did happened at those conventions. So there's a little bit of a connection there. But badges are on sale now. We are making announcements about special guests, special programming. We are hoping this to be our biggest year yet. And we just need more people to come out and play games with us. It's a small, again, intimate, not in the sexy way like Jack Falcon's scenes, but we're mostly in one big giant room, so you're going to see the same people all weekend. You're going to make friends, and you're going to see them year after year. So if you want a small 500, 600 person convention full of RPGs and board games and karaoke and costume contests, all the things, but mostly RPGs, a Catacon is a place to be. It's terribly named, but tremendously fun. And that is ACADECON. It's like the word academy, because we're the RPG Academy podcast. It's our convention. We mushed that together and came up with a Catacon.
And Rob, I'm going to let you plug your show one more time before we take off as well.
Absolutely. Before I get to plugging, I would, of course, like to thank you and James for hosting, and a congratulations to you for 4 years of the Undercommon Taste podcast. A round of applause. Kudos to you for doing it. It's not easy to go for that long. Trust me, I know. So big round of applause there. Great job to you two. But if you want to listen to another podcast that's mostly about world building, then you can go and listen to us at Worldbuild With Us, which is, you can find that wherever you can find a podcast, and YouTube if you want to go and do that. If you really miss Ian that much, you can always go and listen to the episodes that I have with Ian on there. But we've got all sorts of good episodes, good guests. Go ahead and give it a listen whenever, wherever, all that good stuff. And hell, who knows? Michael might be on the show at some point soon. We'll
might
figure
work
it
something out.
There we go.
So thank you, everybody, for listening. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas, send us an email, undercommontaste@gmail.com, or come and join our Discord. You can find a link to the Discord and all of our social media through our website, undercommontaste.com, along with our itch store and our Patreon. I'm not going to keep you any longer because we're running a little long. So thank you all for listening. Stay safe, and we will see you all again actually next week.
Woohoo! Happy gaming.
There we go. I'm going to stop recording now.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Undercommon Taste. Our theme song is Massacre Ann, written and performed by Mary Kroll and used with permission. You can find Mary online at marykroll.bandcamp.com or on Patreon at patreon.com/Dr. Mary C. Kroll. Our logo is by David Sutherland. You can find more of David's work on deviantart.com/David Sutherland or on instagram.com/Willex_73. We'll be back in 2 weeks, so stay safe, and we'll see you then.